Welcome to the SPE President's Vodcast for September 2024, roadmap for a very busy year, featuring 2025 SPE President Olivier Houzy, and now SPE Director of Magazines, Pam Boji.
Welcome. It's my privilege to introduce our 2025 SPE President, Olivier Houzy. He brings a wealth of industry experience and involvement with SPE to this role. Olivier and I will be highlighting the priorities and goals for his presidency and his insights about the energy industry. I'm Pam Boji, SPE Director of Magazines. I'll go ahead and just give a brief background about Olivier. He holds an engineering degree from École Polytechnique and a Master's of Science degree in Petroleum Engineering from Stanford University. He started his career as a field well test operator with Schlumberger. He's the co-founder and managing director of Kappa, a reservoir and production engineering software company. Olivier has been involved in many SPE summits, forums, and workshops. He co-authored an SPE and an SPEE monograph, and he was a distinguished lecturer in 2013 and served on the SPE board as technical director of reservoir from 2012 to 2015. In 2019, he received the SPE Lester C. Uren Award for Technical Excellence and an SPE Honorary Award in 2022. In April, he was selected as the 2025 SPE President and will take on this role later this month at the SPE Annual Technical Conference and Exhibition in New Orleans. Olivier, let's start by hearing a bit about your journey and what has led you to this pivotal role within SPE.
Hello, Pam, and thank you for having me. After my petroleum engineering degree, I started my career with Petroleum, which was then well testing arm of Schlumberger. And I started as a field engineer, essentially in the Middle East, a little bit in the North Sea. And still many years later, I consider myself primarily to be a well test chief operator. At age 28, I left Schlumberger, I co-founded Kappa, and I wrote the first version of a piece of well test software that is still around today. And my career has centered on the development of my company in the past 37 years. So my resume is pretty straightforward. I joined SPE as a student. You know, at the time, Hank Remy, who was our department head, would tell his Stanford students that joining SPE was not an option. You just joined, period. And that's what I did. And when I visit sections these days, I am impressed by the voluntarism and the dedication of students and young members. And I feel a bit guilty because that was not exactly my case when I was their age. You know, I was kind of monomaniac on the development of my company. And I started SPE as a consumer. You know, I would publish papers, I would attend events, I would use SPE exhibitions and GPT ads for the commercial development of my company. And my service to SPE was limited to peer reviews, event committees, co-chairing an event, or that sort of thing. And still, whenever I attended an SPE event, my goal was to come back home with at least one technical idea that I could use for my company. And it worked all the time. It would not necessarily come from a paper publication or a plenary session. It could come out of a discussion with a colleague over a drink on the side of the event. But in any case, to me, SPE was first and foremost a fantastic facilitator. So in my case, service proper started pretty late, you know, in 2012. And actually on the same week, I was informed that I would be a TISTEC lecturer and that I would join the SPE board as its technical director for reservoir. And it was a pretty busy year for me, almost as busy as the one to come. Now, when I left the board in 2015, I was kindly asked if I would consider the position. And my answer was a categorical thanks, but no thanks. And I may have added never. And the reason for that is I believe that there were other former board members who really had a much better profile than mine for this position. And I believe that I was right. And it's only after the pandemic and its consequences, in particular its financial consequences, that I saw that a former board member with a business profile, a business experience, with some computer literacy also, and a substantial to-do list could bring something to the table. And last year's nominating committee agreed with this, and here I am.
Let's take this opportunity to switch to discussing some of your top priorities as you take on the role, and give us some idea of what will be your theme and the key goals you hope to achieve during your tenure.
Yes, SPE presidents generally select one theme for their tenure, but I will not do this. But first, a bit of background as an introduction. Now, to put it mildly, SPE has been challenged over the past 10 years. There was a 2015 downturn, and of course, there was a 2020 pandemic. And we face challenges and opportunities related to the energy transition. And we also had the episode of the SPE AEPG merger project and the controversy and the petition that followed. So that was a lot to deal with. And during these times, successive boards and staff had to react to whatever was thrown at them. But now things are improving. You know, we are returning to a kind of new normal, which unfortunately is not to the level of the pre-pandemic normal, and we are not going to return to that. So we should use this period of relative stability to take a certain number of overdue and proactive actions. So this has already started, and we should see things accelerating in the year to come and probably beyond. So rather than having a theme, I will present a roadmap on 5 very different but somewhat related topics. Energy transition, again, finances, governance, membership, and quality. And now I have updated my background. Magic. Energy transition. So we communicate a lot on energy transition, but its reality can be very different depending on where you are. When I would visit a European section, I would be asked if we could kindly please remove the P from SPE because it's killing us. In other places, it is business as usual, and energy transition and net zero are a long-term commitment with little or no impact. And then we have anything in between. So while our younger generation seems to be embracing the move, many in my generation do not like what they see. And they associate this move towards energy transition as a distraction, something between greenwashing and outright treason. Now, any position is legitimate, but I think we need to have a candid discussion among our membership and clarify a few things. Yes, we are all proud petroleum engineers. Yes, oil and gas is going to remain a very large part of our activity, at least in the couple of decades to come. This is agreed, and this is not the problem. The problem is that the train has already left the station. We will not get back to the pre-downturn SPE. That's not possible. And I think that we need to acknowledge that. We need to agree on who we are and who we are going to become in the long term in order to give some perspective to our young professionals. We need to define some metrics to just follow up where we are exactly in this process. And then we move on. And I think that this clarification is long overdue. And now finances. Now, SPE finances are not necessarily the most interesting topic for most of our members. However, it is important, and I will just share one slide to illustrate that. So I will detail, actually with many slides, the financial situation in my November column, but here just to summarize. Between 2014 and 2023, and you see that on the table on the top, we have lost 65% of our revenue, 200% of our profit, and 50% of our assets. Now, this looks enormous, but this is totally consistent with the impact of the downturn and the pandemic and the fact that during this period, we kept on delivering services to members. Now, the situation is getting better. Our events activity that you are seeing, let's say in blue in the bottom figure, is recovering from the pandemic. And you can see on the top right that our 2024 results are better. And we have already taken some decisions regarding our cost. SPE is leaner and more responsive than it needed to be before that. But still, the numbers do not add up completely. We are not finished. We are working on new sources of revenue, new initiatives on global sponsorship, the development and licensing of a large language model based on SPE content, new activity on geothermal, etc. So long story short, we are working on this, but we absolutely need to land and have our finances balanced by the end of 2025, and we will do that. It is not an option. Now, governance, that's a tricky one. I was a member of the nominating committee 2 years ago, the new committee that selects the new board members. And when we had a petition following the attempt at an SPE-APG merger, and I took an active part in the debate that followed, I was happy to see that our choices for new board members was confirmed by our membership's vote, but I saw that as a sort of Pyrrhic victory. First, the participation was low. The outcome, 55-45, established that the petition was absolutely not irrelevant. And I believe that the petitioners made some good points, even though I disagreed strongly with their main message. I have to agree that our governance is a bit dated. I guess nobody cared 20 years ago, but at these critical times, this may become important. So I think that we could and we should improve our transparency. We should consult our members more often and probably more at the beginning of a discussion rather than at the very end of a process. And regarding the petition itself and the way the board is selected, I remain skeptical for the positions of technical directors and regional directors. I think that we are doing a good job on that. But I think that we could consider direct election for the position of the president. This could be very relevant. So there is no need for a revolution, I think, but an evolution may be welcomed by many. Membership. So this is the one that is making me lose my sleep at night. And to illustrate that, I'm going to show again one slide. So from the table on the top, you see that between 2015 and 2021, we have lost around 1/3 of our professional members. You can see that since then, the numbers have increased a bit. At the level of students, we have lost around 15%, and the numbers are stable. But the most concerning part is the study of the demographics of this membership. And you see that in the main table, in the main graph, where you see the evolution of membership by year of birth. Now, if you look from left to right, the first thing you can see is that the engineers of my generation, who were born in the 1960s, are retiring. And this is, I'm sure we will be badly missed, but this is in the order of things. More worrying, the fact that we have lost around 40% of the members that were born in the mid-1980s, who are in their 40s now. So even though now they are coming back slowly, but the main concern is on the right of these curves, where you can see that our conversion rate from students to young professionals is abysmal. We are recruiting and retaining less than half of the young professionals that we need in the long term. I'm afraid that we may be driving towards a wall, and we need to address that in priority. And this will certainly require more than a year to correct that. And so the last topic is about quality. And this has been an endemic issue within SPE. I mean, since I joined the industry, there has always been, for example, the magic difference between the content of an abstract and the content of the paper when the abstract was accepted. And to speak generally, we can be proud of the best of our publications, especially as it is generally strengthened by peer reviews. But I believe that we have a serious problem with the quality of, say, our lower quartile. And this is getting embarrassing. Now, until recently, we could live with this. We could look at the best and ignore the rest. But now we are in the process, for example, of creating large language models, which are using the entire SPE content to fine-tune a base model and end up with a LLM. And we will have to look at the impact of this heterogeneous quality of what we publish on the quality of the resulting LLM. So we may be unexpectedly under pressure to reopen the subject for the opt-in style, consider, maybe, discuss the possibility of a drastic reduction of the number of new papers, which would have, of course, an impact on the way our events are structured, or maybe change the metrics of what it takes for a paper to reach one Petro. So there should be interesting discussions ahead. So that's it. So these are my 5 topics, and they will be developed in the 5 next JPD columns. And in parallel, for each of these columns, I will try to initiate a certain number of discussions, or at least one, on these topics on a dedicated SPE Connect channel. Back to you, Pam.
Thank you, Olivier. Very interesting to hear your outlines of what are some of the issues that you'll be addressing. And we thank you for sharing those insights and your goals. We are looking forward to your upcoming columns in JPT. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pam.
We hope you have enjoyed this edition of the SPE President's Vodcast with Olivier Huzy. New episodes are posted at the beginning of each month on the Journal of Petroleum Technology website at jpt.spe.org.